Today we're going to do a video on how to do an installation for a Comfort Inn and a Comfort Suites hotel room, and Paul is going to show us some of the basics, and then at the end we'll have the finished product. All of you.
Alrighty. The new Comfort Inn and Comfort Suite specs uses a ripple fold panel, and shears and blackouts both go directly all the way to the ceiling. So when you're taking your measurements and preliminary measurements on the property, you need to make sure you're measuring accurately from the ceiling to the top of the air conditioning unit and from the ceiling to the floor, so we have those measurements in order to make the drape the size it should be. There are a couple of scenarios you may run into with your installation. If you're in a construction area where you have a concrete ceiling, you can do one of two things. You can either go ahead and use a hammer drill and drill your holes into the ceiling and do a mount that way with your blackout and shear. Or, if it's simpler, you can use what's known as a double wall mount, simply mounting it flush up against the ceiling, which gives you the same look and the same elevation, but you're actually going through the wall mount into the top plate of the wall, which is actually a simpler installation. This structure here is in our corporate office, and we have a sheetrock ceiling. So we simply measured up and mounted our clips directly into the ceiling. Your back rod, the ceiling clip should mount flush with the back wall or within about an inch of it. The reason for that is your blackout goes on the back rod. The closer you keep it to the wall, the more light knockdown you have. What you want to do is mount your first clip centered approximately over the window. We don't have a window here. We're going to let you use your imagination for that. And then out about 6 inches from either end of the rod will be where your next clip mounts in order to take the weight of the blackout and shear and the rod will appear up here like so. It's not very hard to do. It's a very simple installation. But like I said, if you're going to use a concrete ceiling, you'll have to mark the location of each of your clips first, pre-drill your holes, and then mount your ceiling clips directly to the ceiling like we've done here, and install the rod on it. If you want to come in closer, so look up underneath it here. On the back of the rod there's a little clip. The slot in the clip is where you take to tighten the rod, screwdriver, and just to turn in like so on each clip, and that locks the rod into place. You'll do that on each of the clips that you have installed, and then on the other end as well. Once you have your back rod, your second rod out in the front should be approximately 7 inches from the wall to the clip. This one's mounted 6 inches. It's not bad, but 7 is a more optimal to get the front of the clip. Once you measure out and have your second clip screwed into place, you simply add your front rod, which is the shear rod, mount the ends of your rod flush with each other, lock your rod into place, then the next item that will need to be mounted, you can see we already have one mounted over here, is your stationary rod. We measured out from the wall approximately 10 inches.
Oh, you want to measure?
Yeah. This one's mounted actually 9 1/4. Measure out, make your location. You want to make sure that these holes are set, so once you install the rod, that the inside edge of this rod is directly over the outside edge of your P-tack down below it. Your average is 42 inches on a P-tack. So from the inside edge of this stationary rod to the inside edge of your other stationary rod over on the other side should be 42 inches apart. So once your stationary panel is hung, it hangs flush with the very edge of your P-tack unit. Let me get a couple of screws here.
Where's the screw? Where's that? Yep. There's the screw.
Now on these new rods for your stationary panels, what you have to do to get the clips on, if they come that's not on it, you actually have to take the end cap off of the rod with that little screw. Just loosen it up a little bit. And it will fall out like that if you're not holding it.
Hold on, I'll get it.
But your clip actually slides on. You'll notice if you look at the end of the rod, the curved part here at the front, this is the front of the rod. The clip simply slides into place like so. Once you have the clip on, the end cap goes back in. Before you slide it all the way in, take one of your stationary carriers, put in with it. This keeps stationary on the corners of the panel from moving back and forth. Then you simply tighten it up. Not too tight because it's plastic and you don't want to break the clip. Just so it can't come out. Once it's in place, mount the rod to the ceiling. Just like so. Then all of your hardware will be mounted at the ceiling. Over at the corner, you'll see a little L bracket. You want the bottom edge of that L bracket flush with the end of the stationary clip right on the end. So when you put your stationary panel hook in it, everything stays level and flush with the wall. Once that is in place, since we're using standard blackout and standard shear, you simply take and install your panels. Actually, it's easiest on some of these to put your second hole in first. Has your blackout installed. Then we have a shear. Installs exactly the same way. doing here is breaking the pleat of the shear, so when you open and close the shear, it folds forward instead of trying to fold backwards. You don't have to do that in the blackout because the stiffener in it is a little bit different. That shows your shear installation. You can hand me the stationary panel over there for the left side. That should be the top one.
Top one's for that.
No, it's wrong one. It's the other one.
The wrong one?
Yeah, use the other one. There you go. And since this is a ripple fold installation, all you have to do is it will alternate back and forth in the way it folds. So your first clip goes in. Then when you put your second clip in, the front of your first pleat should be out like so. So your clip will go in. And when you do your next one, it goes the other way. And it alternates back and forth, in and out, like a serpent, or a bunch of figure S's all together. Then your last clip will go into your stationary on the other end. And that's the appearance of the ripple fold. Starting out at the end, out, back, out and back, all the way down to the very end. When you reach the end of the panel, there's a hook, regular drapery hook. You slide into the panel, making sure not to come through the front like I just did. That hooks into the little L-clip around on the side of the wall, and that holds the back portion of the panel flush with the wall. If it's not quite flush, let's say the bottom is out from the wall, simply take and lower the hook in about 1/2 inch increments and rehook it. That in turn will pull this up, as you see right there, back flush with the wall from top to bottom. There's no valance or anything around it, or a board. So if you'll look, you can see the installation, and the other end shows the positioning of all of your clips and your brackets to make it easy to install it. Just remember, your back clip should be approximately flush with the wall, or no more than about 1/2 inch off the back wall. Your next rod out should be 6 to 7 inches at the front edge of the clip, and then your stationary rod should be approximately 9.5 to 10 inches to the front edge of the rod off the wall. Once you have those set in place, and remember to keep 42 inches between the inside edges of your stationary rods, then you have your installation.